Welcome to English for Professional Mechanical Engineers. My name is Yiji. I'm so happy to have this chance to speak to you today about the topic of sustainable development. After talking about the sustainable technology, a professional engineer topic, this section will deal with a more general concept. Now, let's move forward to the materials. So, I will start with a concept which was shared in the section of Sustainable Life. Circular thinking is needed. Whatever created, that should be used. When we consume the product, waste could be also generated. The waste could be recycled back to the production line. Then the whole process of production and utilization is a complete circle. It's also the rhythm of the nature, how the earth has processed with production and utilization for billions of years. Next, crux of technology is also important to remember. Humans often overestimate their own abilities and underestimate the effects of the environment. Meanwhile, the history tells us humans do not have sufficient resources because there is only one Earth. Now, let's look at the topic of this section. What is sustainable development? Sustainable development has been defined in many ways, but the most frequently quoted definition is from Our Common Future. Development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. So, just like we mentioned in the previous section, all creatures on the earth need energy to survive. But when we satisfy our own needs, please do not sacrifice the chances of our future generations to satisfy their needs in the future, even though we cannot see it at present. No matter we see it or not, this planet does have a future, and please do not screw it up, even though we probably will not be able to see it ourselves. Alright, does that make sense to you? Next, I would like you to give some opposite examples. Would you please give me some situation in which development will become non-sustainable? Well, there are plenty of examples. Here are 3 serious problems because of non-sustainable development. 1. Overfishing. 2. Fossil fuel utilization. 3. Plastic utilization. But why are they non-sustainable? First, because if we are overfishing, we meet the needs of the present, but the future generations will have not enough fish to meet their needs. Secondly, because fossil fuel is not renewable, if we use it, the total amount of fossil fuel will be severely depleted. Eventually, our future generations will have no fossil fuel for utilization to meet their own needs. Finally, because plastics cannot decompose by nature, once we use it, it will exist forever. Eventually, our future generations will have to deal with the problem of tons of plastics. Well, there is a moral issue over here. Is that fair? Should we just eat them all, just use them all, and leave all the garbages to the future generation? Because we don't see the non-sustainable future at the present. Is that fair? based on the philosophy of sustainable development. What is sustainable development for energy technology? This is also the question of homework for the previous section. Let's look at how to deal with this issue again. Right, there are two ways to deal with it. First, conservation of non-renewable resources. Use the current fossil fuel wisely. Limit the amount that we would use, because fossil fuel will be run out. 2. Finding alternate resources, like renewable energy. What is renewable energy? This is a topic which was introduced in the previous section. Let's recap the major points. Renewable energy is the energy that comes from sources that do not run out, or can be replenished quickly. This kind of energy comes from natural resources, such as sunlight, wind, biomass, rain, oceans, and geothermal heat. There are plenty of resources. Nevertheless, 3 types of the renewable energy are most commonly used. They are solar energy, wind energy, and hydro water energy. Right. That brings us back to the next question. But is that good enough to cope with our current situation by these 2 guidelines? Conservation of non-renewable resources and finding alternate resources. I'm afraid that the answer is probably no. It's not good enough if we just follow these 2 guidelines. The critical point is that if we do it fast enough, we are probably running out of time. This is a research result published on the 3rd of August, year 2017, from Science Advances. Just a few days before I record this video. It's a fresh new research data. It shows that deadly heat waves projected in the densely populated agricultural regions of South Asia. According to this journal paper, if we do not deal with the issue of our carbon dioxide emission fast enough, the weather will be too hot as to cause a lot of deaths by the end of the century in South Asia, including Taiwan. Many of you probably think when the climate change is so bad, everyone, no matter you are poor or rich, no matter you are old or young, all suffers. There is no difference among us when the catastrophe comes, right? No, it's different. That brings us back to the point of justice again. According to World Health Organization, who is the most impacted by the environment? The environment impacts on health are uneven across age and mostly affect the poor. Low and middle income countries bear the greatest share of environmental disease. In addition, it's not only the health issue, but also a survival problem. If people in the developed countries, those who have enjoyed the happiness by creating tons of carbon dioxide, do not reduce the emission fast enough, the poor countries who only create this amount of carbon dioxide, like Tuvalu and Kiribati, will be impacted mostly by losing their homeland owing to a rise in sea level. I would like to emphasize this issue again. Sustainable is a moral issue. Is it fair? Is it fair to have innocent poor people lose their homes and land because rich people have accumulated fortunes and satisfy their own needs. Yes, that is the reality that has happened in the human history over and over again. But the question is, if you were the people of Tuvalu and Kiribati, how would you feel? How do you feel if your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren will have no place to live? They will become climate refugees. And based on the scientific research, this is not something happening in the movie. It will definitely happen in the near future. Here is a thing I'd like you to think about. Should I turn off air conditioner in the summertime when it's so hot? Well, it's so much for today. Hope this session has offered you some new thoughts about our environment and what we should do for us and our future generations. No matter what will happen tomorrow, most importantly, we should always keep hope and take care of each other. Have a good time and see you in the next one. Goodbye.